I'm back after a bit of a glitch, and I just wanted to point out what's been done so far. When this engine came to me, it came to me with two timing covers here, and this one, this nub here, this boss, whatever we want to call it, when you turn it around and face it with the other one, you can see that there's about 1/4 of an inch in height difference between the two of them. And my guess is that they're for different kinds of belt drives, although I'm not sure. The one on the left is marked, has a Chrysler star in it, and the one on the right has AMC numbers on it. So I can only guess that this is maybe from the 4.0 that Paul had apart when he had this engine. The intake and exhaust manifold are off of a 1984 engine for which I still have the head. And I have cleaned them up fairly well, and I've gotten the exhaust gas recirculation thing free in the head, in the manifold. It was really frozen in there, and I've gotten all the everything out of the other manifold so I can begin some sort of process. If you'd like, I can go into more detail in questions and answers, but basically the head bolts and the rocker assemblies and push rods have to be gone through yet, and everything else has had its first cleaning. The oil pan I'm not too happy with, as it's got a pretty good womp in the front corner there. You can see it. I'm going to try to maybe give it some love and some heat, and use some dent pulling techniques to straighten the metal. I want to go back for a second over to the engine and take a look at the damage. This is number 2. There, that's resolving. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with all this yet, but I did want to, while we're here, take a look and see if there's any place where the head gasket was breached between the block and the gasket. I see rust here in 6. I see some antifreeze right here, so I'm not sure I'm talking to no picture for you guys. I'm seeing some antifreeze right here that seems to be a residue from pulling the head, and I'm seeing some carbon here that traced underneath of the head gasket as well. I don't see any breaches or any abnormalities at the head gasket except right there at number 2. You see it there? Right here. And that rust seems to carry in and across that trace. So I don't know if it made it through or not, but if it did, it's definitely not severe. Now I'm going to move the camera again, and let's go back over and find I left it behind. Alright, let's try again. And so when I look at the surface between the head and the gasket, I see what looks to be antifreeze has been through here, and I can't see any other reason for there being a problem. I'm going to pick this up and note that it goes right here, and while I do, I'm going to look at a couple features on the head to make sure maybe I'm not missing a crack somewhere. I see rust carried through from right here down into this intake valve. So I'm wondering if this guy leaked on the other side, on the head side. I'll have to take a look at the head a little bit more carefully. And then this guy here has some frank rust, and as does this guy over here. So my chore for the afternoon is done. I just wanted to make a video of my progress, and my progress is that I finished dismantling the engine, and we got all of the we got most of the parts clean. I think my next step now is going to be disassembling the head, checking the valves to see if they're bent, cleaning up the push rods and the rockers up there in the box, and then getting a second cleaning on all these parts on the table that have had their first one done. And cleaning up the head bolts and straightening the oil pan. So you can see that just tearing apart an engine, I think I have 6 hours into cleaning up this block and these parts here, and I probably have another 6 to 8 to go. And I've just been using 50-to-1 gas and 2-stroke oil, so that when I take it down to bare metal, it's not likely to flash rust as much, I guess. And I've been using that and brass or nylon scrub brushes. So far, so good. I'm hoping that we can get a few things done that are basic, so that we can start talking about all the other stuff that we want to do or would like to do. I am at a minimum going to do port matching on this engine, and I'm also going to replace. It's not going to have the standard Carter BBD carburetor, because it really doesn't even, when you do the math, it doesn't even approach 250 CFM, and this engine breathing at 5,000 RPM would need somewhere in the neighborhood of 330 to 390. So this engine was definitely undercarbureted to begin with. While it's apart, we'll also take a look at the spring tension on each of the intake and exhaust springs for the valves, and clean everything up and give it a and lap the valves in. I'm curious whether or not I should consider getting the head checked for cracks. If anybody has any thoughts on that, if you could leave it in the comments, I'd really appreciate it. For right now, this is Old School Cars, and I'm going to sign off and go about my work of getting this head taken apart and I'll probably do a video of that and do fast mow on it, and then talk over it as a new technique rather than doing this live stuff all the time. Thanks for watching, and if you could, please like the video, and we'll tell you a little bit more about what we're doing at another time. Thanks again for watching.